Hey there, quick video. Thought I'd show you how to change the fluorescent tube bulbs on a Sterling Caravan, or any of those English caravans really, into strip lighting. So I'll give you a quick tour of our van first, show you what we're doing. So this is our 2011 Sterling Elite, but many of the other European models will be very similar, no doubt. So this is the interior model on our particular one. And these are the lights in question that we're going to be working on. She's a bit messy because we've been doing some work. But one of the problems that I've noticed, this is one I've already done, is that when you have the tube fluorescent bulbs, up here, only a very small part of that acrylic gets lit sort of right in the centre where the bulb is. And that's because this is the actual unit itself. And as you can see, if you've got that in the centre there, you're getting a little bit of light in the middle, and I don't know about you, but I feel it's a little bit dark at night time. And this is with warm LED strip lighting that I've put in across the top. So I haven't done this section down here just yet, and I thought I'd show you a trick or two as soon as I've just spent a wee while working it out. Right, so up the front, the first thing I wanted to show you is what I've done up in here. So in order to remove those lights, you need to take the two screws there and the two screws there out, and then you can actually remove the entire piece of wood. Just pull the unit out, they're just held in by little staples, and then you're ready to go with the strip lighting on top. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But one trick I learnt, normally this unit here sits on top of the little shelf up in here. The problem when you reinstall strip lighting is that you get like a little bit of a shadow just along the bottom, and you can see this is completely illuminated in mine. So what I've done to eliminate that shadow is when you have finished doing the strip lighting and you reinstall, rather than sitting it on the shelf, I've just cut about probably like 10mm off the edge here when it was out of the van, and screwed, rather than it sitting on the shelf, I've just screwed it directly into that shelf from the bottom side. That lowers it down. Now because of that, you also have to, in this little support strut here, you have to cut just a little bit out with a jigsaw. Not a heck of a lot. I only cut about 10mm off the bottom of that, just so that you can eliminate that shadow. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. You'll just have a little bit of a shadow along the bottom. Sort of the bottom ½ centimetre is dark, and then the rest of it is light. Right, so let's work on these three up here. These are the back ones down by the double bed, and I've already taken out these pieces of timber, which sit in those little trays up in there, and I've used just a skill saw just to chop about 8mm off the side, so that I can do that little recess I was just showing you how to do to eliminate the shadow. So step one is remove by taking out those screws there, and take the pieces of wood out, unplug them. They'll all be plugged in to the electrical loop here, and pull the lights off and get rid of them into a box. So in terms of tools, all you're going to need is a pair of wire cutters, a crimp tool if you've got one, a little electrical terminal kit. This is just one that I've got. I'm only going to be using these paddles, and a reel of strip lighting. I got warm white, but it doesn't really matter. You can choose what you want. You can get these controlled by an app, or this one is not. I didn't really feel like doing that. And these a little connector pack. These are really good, pre-made. You can get them on Aliexpress, Temu, that sort of website. Some are online, Amazon. They just make the job super quick and easy. So measure up a little strip on the little join. Just cut where you see the little black line. Right, so these little quick connectors are super easy. Basically all you need to do is open up the unit, identify which side is the positive, you can see that right in there on the strip lighting, and slide them in under the little plastic nubs. Once that's connected like that, just go ahead and close the plastic, and we have our first section. Now this one I'm going to put some terminals on. Right, so this section is actually going to be all interconnected. For the ones I've done up here, you're only going to really terminal on one side, just like we've done here. But this particular one I'm actually going to string up all in series, all three. So basically, I've just stripped a little bit of wire off, bent that over, rounded over, and then I'm just using these little crimp tools. You can use something similar, or you can even rob the terminals off here if you wanted to and solder in, or use a joiner such as one of those. But yeah, easiest probably just to get yourself a few terminal heads like these ones that match. Cool, and that's the first section done, just using the crimp tool there. Right, so on the other end of this one, I'm just going to use a connector, and we've just joined that in. Make sure you do red to positive again, and basically these are going to string together onto the other two. Now all you need to do is peel off the backside 3M tape and stick this to the front of the unit. I'll do that now. Okay, and that's our first section done for our first one. Now, just a word of warning, avoid this middle section because this is where later I'm going to put a screw, this screw here, that will retain, which as you can see I've got smack bang in the middle, and you don't want to go screwing through your new wires. Now you might want to use a little bit of tape or glue just to attach this, just so that over time it doesn't start to separate there and peel off. Right, let's repeat that on the other two. Okay, there's my first section, there's my second, I haven't taped that one down for reasons that'll become obvious, and my third section there. Okay, now I'm going to install this section and this section into the two cavities. Now, for the other windows that I've done, the other lights that I've done over here, that's pretty much the job done. You don't need one on that side, you just leave it empty and you reinstall in the gap. Same with that one. If your kitchen looks like mine, that one's a little bit trickier. But you can access most of it through there, and also this little unit here pulls off. But yeah, that one's a little bit trickier, particularly because this is actually screwed down. So yeah, you'll have some fun getting that out. This one here, I've actually done the same thing, but I've used a right angle joiner right in that corner, which looks like that. So yeah, you can just buy like a 50-piece pack for $5 or something. That one was the standard one as well. Alright, let's get these units in. Okay, so I've plugged my first little section into the loom. Now I'm not actually going to be able to show you how to do this because I can't do it one-handed, but basically we're going to line it up into position up in here, and then we're just going to chuck a screw straight through the middle of that board into the plastic. Make sure obviously that you take that little bit there and loop it through that little hole so that it can connect into the next section. Right, if I had a tripod I'd do that, but I'm not. Just trust me, that's what I'm doing. Okay, there's the first one in. So you can see I've just screwed straight through on the bottom. Some might say, hey, that's a bit ugly. I say, I don't care, I can't see it. It doesn't need to be sitting on that shelf anymore because it doesn't hold any weight anyway. The strip light weighs nothing. That's what it's looking like so far. And as you can see, we've got that little connector for the next one over here. Okay, next part of the job is basically I'm going to attach that now to here, stick it down to there, and repeat. Trick for young players, just double check your polarity before you put this in. Okay, the second section's all done. I realised while I was off camera that it made more sense to have the connector on this side than that one, so I've just peeled that back a little bit and taken it off and added it to there. Right, we're ready to install that next section. All of this excess loom we're going to chop off at the end, so you can actually just pull that through and let it sit there. We'll deal with that later. Let's screw that next section in, same deal, into that little shelf there, but not sitting on top of it, underneath it. Right, we got that second section in, screwed there and there. There is a very slight dulling that you can see. Obviously where that plastic unit is there, where the join goes, but I mean it's way less than it was. And there we go. Last one is in. Shut those up and let's have a look. Look at that. Now, I must admit, there is a little bit of a shadow still, but it's about 100 times better than it once was. Looking through the front of the van, it's looking really nice and bright. Really happy with that job. So, good luck if you want to give it a go. Let me know how it works out. Almost forgot to tidy up the wiring loom, so last step, you can see the main phase going into there, and then this is just the loop. So all we're going to do is turn the light switch off and cut these two and insulate. Right, we've made it to night time. Managed to finish replacing all of these old fluorescents with the LED strip lighting. Let's have a wee look around the Caravan. First thing I notice is that everything just seems a little bit brighter. It's not quite as dark. And I'm really happy getting rid of those shadows and that acrylic along the top. It just looks a lot higher spec, I reckon. I'm particularly happy with this curve section, which I think probably looked the worst before. And even through in the bedroom, that section, even with those two little shadowy bits, way better than it was before. Just feels a little bit warmer, a little bit better lit. Really happy with the result. Awesome, so fingers crossed if you're watching this video, it probably means you're thinking about doing the same. Hopefully this video either confirmed that or talked you out of it. But hey, see you later, bye.